What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on all social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram at BoxingWave10. Let's talk Lomachenko. It's not going to be a long video. Lomachenko recently did an interview which was uploaded on his channel, his YouTube channel, basically addressing Teofimo Lopez. He talked about many things in this interview. Preparations leading towards a fight, leading towards this fight, injuries that he's received in the past, injuries, this injury for this fight, how the whole Teofimo Lopez thing started. How did he feel about Lopez, his run-ins with him and his father, stuff like that. He talked about all of these things, all right? And he said, he said his father and his manager, they didn't want him to fight Lopez with this injury, okay? He started feeling it while he was training and preparing for the fight. I don't know how many weeks into the fight, but he started getting injections to ease the pain and stuff. He still wanted to take the fight. First off, and this is the first red flag, you can't say you didn't underestimate your opponent, but you went in there with a painful injury like that. If you're in that much pain and you decided to go in the ring with Teofimo Lopez, which many of us believe, at least I know I did, you guys seen a breakdown, you guys seen the videos, are still up. I thought going into this fight, this was a 50-50 fight. And I also thought that Teofimo Lopez was his most dangerous opponent today. He wasn't the most proven. I'm not talking about resumes and experience and all of that stuff. I'm not talking about that. We know that Ringendale and Linares and Luke and all these fighters that he faced, a lot of them been in there with more experienced scenes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the styles. I'm talking about the fact that this kid was young, powerful, big, fast, everything. This guy had good boxing ability. This guy was the most dangerous opponent. And this is the fight that you needed to be 100% in order to win. And from what we heard from you before the fight, you were good. So you was quiet about your injuries before the fight. Stay quiet about them after the fight. That's my take on it. Now, I know some of you guys might have heard my views on this already, because I did bring it up the other day in a live commentary, but I wanted to make a video anyway about it because I needed everyone to hear this, that this is not, and you know what? This is not a hate Lomachenko channel. I love Lomachenko. I love Lomachenko. But he doesn't get a pass for this. This is a guy that I've seen as being one of the most humble fighters. No matter what all of these, the media, listen, Lomachenko made it seem in this video like the system was against him. He was talking about the judges being bribed. And yes, one of those scorecards was pretty wide, in my opinion. One of them were. All right. He lost the fight, by the way. He lost the fight. He didn't win that fight. I don't care what he did in the second half. He didn't do enough. He gave way too many of the early rounds. He went into that. He arguably went a good 6 or 7 rounds without winning a round. And he didn't close out stronger than Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez won that last round. Clearly. He did not win the fight. And the rounds weren't that hard to score. They weren't. They weren't. He put on some action a little bit in the later half, but he lost the fight. But going back to the interview, Lomachenko made it seem like the system was against him. He was making a bunch of excuses. He sounded like a brat. He sounded like a baby. Let's keep it 100. I respect him as a fighter, but I never thought he was that guy. Until now. Now, I know the guy's not used to taking losses. He's taking it bad. Listen, he was pretty much baited into this fight. I mean, Teofimo Lopez proved what he had to prove to get to where he got. And that Nakatani win looks really good right about now. After we saw what Nakatani did to Verdejo. You know, we gave him a lot of tough, you know, we gave him a lot of criticism because he had a tough time in that fight. But it looks real good now. You know, the co-main knockout, the early knockout, looks really damn good. You know, it looked good then, but it looks good now after seeing his performance against Lomachenko. You know, because we never seen anyone do that well against Lomachenko. But Lomachenko was quiet about his injuries. And, you know, listen, any issue I had with Lomachenko leading up to this fight wasn't him. Always seen him being humble. I mean, I didn't like the franchise thing. I don't like it with Canelo. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. I don't know whose real fault is it. Is it the WBC? Is it him? I don't know. But regardless, everything else I dislike had nothing to do with him. It was the media. It was the media. They was pushing him pound for pound. They were talking about him, and I know Roman Gonzalez at the time, they was making him pound for pound. But Lomachenko was coming off of wins like against Sosa and Mariaga, and they were like, he was in a conversation of pound for pound. You got guys like Joe Rogan, and a lot of people co-signed it, saying that he was one of the best fighters of all time. Based on what? He didn't even fight Linares at the time. Based on what? They were removing his loss on his record. Now, that's not his fault. That's marketing. But let's not act like he wasn't getting pampered. I mean, the dude was a pound for pound great fighter. He's in the list. I don't think he's ever been number one. I don't think he's ever been above Canelo. I don't think he's ever been above Terrence Crawford. But I think he was up there, just like Inoue has been up there. Usyk has been up there. Gennady Golovkin has been up there. You know, yeah, these fighters are all up there wherever you want to place them. But I never had them above Canelo and what's his face, Terrence Crawford. Even Usyk, you could make the argument. Like, I know he don't have belts in multiple divisions, but what he did in one particular division and who he had to beat to get that is bigger than just picking up a title at 126, picking up a title at 130. You know, most of his best work was at 135, if we being real. But Usyk, you know, like, listen, this video is not really trying to discredit him. It doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to say is that he was pampered in some ways. Let's not act like the system is against me now because I lost a fight. No, dude. No. No way. No way. Like, nah. It doesn't work that way. You should have never went into this fight knowing you were injured, not against that guy. Hell no. Not against that guy. The Jason Sosas of the world, the Mariagas of the world. You know, who's the other British fighter he fought a couple fights ago? Those guys, you do what you got to do. Get your health together. All right? You do that. This time, and I said this the other day, this would have been the best time to actually postpone the fight. You know why? Because every other top fighter in this sport this year has postponed the fight one way or another because of an injury or due to COVID. Everybody's postponing fights anyway. We don't want to see the fight if we know you're injured. If we knew as fans, if there were rumors and they were coming from a really, really like a good source, a reliable source that you were injured towards this fight, I wouldn't have thought you would win the fight. But you kept it quiet. And since you kept it quiet, keep it quiet still. Even if we find out that you were getting surgery after the fight, don't talk about it. Don't make any excuses. Don't make any excuses. Be a man. You took the fight. You was warned. According to you, you was warned. You should have postponed the fight. You didn't. Since you didn't postpone it, and that kid beat you because he beat you. Clearly to me, that's your fault. Teofimo Lopez, I know you don't like him. You know, I know you was wishing that Comey beat him because you didn't like him, or maybe because you thought he was. I don't know what Lomachenko really thought. I don't know how confident. I know he was acting out of character leading up to the fight, you know, the face-off and all of that. He was acting out of character. I don't know if that was fear. I don't know if he was trying to intimidate Lopez. You know, I don't know what is it really in his mind. But for you to go into this fight, I don't think it was fear. I think he was overconfident. I think it was overconfident. Not asking for a rematch clause and none of that. I thought he was so sure that he would beat this kid, and he got humbled. He got humbled. But now that you got humbled, don't make a bunch of excuses. Don't sound delusional. You sound delusional right now. You lost the fight. You lost the fight. You can't say you thought you still won the fight because of what you did in the second half and then say how much in pain you were during the fight. No. No, we don't want to hear that. Take your L, get healthy, and get back. You already addressed other injuries you had during fights in previous fights. You fought and lost to somebody that was better than you. Straight like that. You're a great fighter, but great ones take losses too. You already took a loss, and people try to remove that loss and act like it never happened. Like ESPN. Okay? You were pampered. You're a great fighter. I respect you as a fighter, as a man. I lost some respect for you now. But up to this point, I had no issues with Lomachenko. Check my track record. I don't have no issues with that dude. Great fighter. Some people actually mad at me because they felt that I was too, I don't know, I guess too soft with him. I don't know. But I can't allow like guys making excuses. We already saw what happened with Wilder this year. I'm not letting this slide. Like this excuse shit when people lose fights, this gotta stop. You know, this gotta stop. You lost the fight. It is what it is. You can bounce back. Get your rematch. I think he deserves a rematch if he really wants it. If he really wants it, I'm not saying that Lopez need to wait around for him all forever, you know, because there is no rematch clause. But if anybody deserves a rematch, it's Lomachenko, because he went into this fight with 3 belts. 3 belts. All right? So he deserves a rematch, but at the same time, Lopez doesn't have to sit around and wait for him to be healthy. If Lopez decides to want to fight Cambosos or whatever, then that's on him. You know, people want him. That's another guy. I was just talking about with Canelo. This guy got a million options. You know, people want to see him fight Devin Haney. People want to see him fight Tank. People want to see Ryan Garcia, you know, and people are even bringing up guys at 140. All right. But, yo, look, Lomachenko, great fighter. But that interview, nah, that was bullshit. You don't get a pass for that. I don't respect that. I don't respect that. All right. Now, if you bounce back and lose again, it is what it is. If you win, then that's great. But you didn't win that fight. Stop blaming the whole world because of the outcome of that fight. You did not win that fight. Even with one judge that scored it wide, you did not win the fight. You didn't win. You know, I know the Loma, the super hype fans are going to get in here. They're going to dislike it. And, you know, BoxingWave, you're being biased, whatever. No, he didn't lose. He didn't win the fight. He didn't win shit. He didn't win the fight. Can we knock it off? Knock it off. He didn't win the fight. He didn't win. And anyone that's selling you that he won the fight and all this stuff, no, he didn't win the fight. Did he win the fight? I don't think it was a draw, but saying that he won is crazy to me. He didn't win the fight. I don't even think it was a draw, to be honest. I think people scoring in a draw was giving him rounds that he was at least competitive in, you know? But, you know, people see it different ways. I don't know. I'm with the judges, except that one wide, really wide one. I'm with the judges on this one, and I don't think he was. I don't think the system like screwed him or anything like that. Nah, I don't think so. All right, I disagree with that, and I disagree with him making all these claims. I said wasn't going to be a long video, but now I'm still talking. I just don't like the excuses, man. You lost the fight. Move on. Move on. Get the rematch. Get your rematch if you could, and that's it. And become a better fighter fighting in a rematch. You know, do better in a rematch because you said that you had trouble with range in this fight. You said that in the first 6 rounds. You said that. You didn't win for it to be a draw. They would have had to score every round that you at least threw a punch in your favor. That's how many rounds you gave away. Every single round that you threw a punch in, landed more than like a couple of punches, they would have to give you the round if they scored it a draw. You know, I personally don't think that fight was that hard to score. I think he lost the fight, and Teofimo Lopez gets all the credit that he's deserved, all the attention that he deserves, because it was the biggest win that we've seen in a while in boxing. The biggest win. Okay, the most credible win. Okay, all right, it was a great win. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Peace.